Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here in Fort Worth at the 10th Annual Texas Chapters Conference. My name is Braden Allman, and I'm Vice President of the Fort Worth Lawyers Chapter. I have the distinct privilege of introducing Judge Reno Cotter this morning to provide opening remarks and welcome you all to Fort Worth. It's hard to introduce somebody like Judge O'Connor because at this point, Judge O'Connor is synonymous with the Federalist Society in Texas. It's no surprise. Over the past 16 years, as a judge in the Northern District, Judge O'Connor has ruled on many of the biggest constitutional issues of our day and never wavered when applying the law, no matter how difficult or how unpopular. But what you may not see is just how committed Judge O'Connor is to the day-to-day job of being a judge, and just how well he does it. In the past few months, local attorneys here in Fort Worth have literally stopped me in hallways to tell me how impressed they are with Judge O'Connor, how he runs his docket, how prepared he is for every proceeding, and how well he knows the intricate details of their cases, no matter the subject matter, no matter the amount of controversy, how big or how small the case. And I have to tell you that exactly tracks my experience with Judge. He demonstrates Luke 16:10 every single day. One who is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. So it's no surprise that Judge O'Connor is so well respected by his peers, his friends, and his clerks. And given that nearly every person in this room is included in one of those categories, which is a testament to Judge O'Connor, he's the perfect person to welcome you all to Fort Worth and to open this conference. So please help me welcome the irreplaceable Judge Reno Cotter.
Thank you, Braden, for those kind remarks. I will say I've been in government long enough to know that I'm not irreplaceable. We're all cogs. We're all cogs on the assembly line. But welcome, good morning, and welcome to Fort Worth, and welcome to the Fort Worth Division of the Northern District of Texas. Fort Worth is particularly honored that the Federalist Society chose to hold its annual Texas conference here. And I'm confident that you will find Fort Worth to be a very welcoming city. And no, I don't mean welcoming in the sense that it is a forum for judge shopping, as some like to think. I mean, Fort Worth truly has a welcoming spirit. For those who have seen the movie The 12 Mighty Orphans, that orphanage was located here in Southeast Fort Worth. The book that the movie was based on describes Fort Worth as, quote, one of the friendliest places to downtrodden children in the hardest years of the Depression, close quote. And that welcoming spirit remains just as strong today. There's a lot of resilient history in this corner of Texas. Fort Worth was established in 1849 as an Army outpost on a bluff overlooking the Trinity River. It has come a long way since then, and it is now the 11th largest city in the United States, having just passed Austin, and was one of the fastest growing cities in the country last year. Despite its size, Fort Worth resiliently maintains its small town charm and original Western heritage, as you can see in its historic Stockyards Entertainment District and in the Sid Richardson Museum here in downtown off of Sundance Square. At the same time, Fort Worth boasts of first-class cultural experiences in its incredible museums that display works of art from the Renaissance to the 21st century, including Michelangelo's very first painting, which hangs in the Kimball Art Museum. Situated in downtown Fort Worth in the heart of the city is the Federal Courthouse, and it is a beautiful Depression-era WPA construction project that has been the home for many historic cases. In the courtroom that I'm assigned to, former Texas Governor Coke Stevenson sued then Congressman Lyndon B. Johnson over the primary results of the 1948 Democratic Senate primary. That case was tried in my courtroom, or the courtroom I'm assigned to, and the decision was ultimately appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, where Justice Black ruled in Congressman Johnson's favor. The rest, they say, is history, as Senator Johnson became Majority Leader Johnson, Vice President Johnson, and ultimately President Johnson. In this same courtroom, Judge David Ballou, a World War II veteran, and a soldier who stormed the beaches of France on D-Day and was shot on D-Day, presided over the longest aviation trial in U.S. history, spanning some 14 months. And in this courtroom, Judge Terry R. Means handed down the first federal death sentence in the nation after its reinstatement as a punishment under the 1994 Death Penalty Act, Federal Death Penalty Act. And these kinds of high-profile cases will continue to be filed in this division and in this district. Some of those cases or topics involving those cases will be debated here on our panels today. Nothing too controversial, mind you. Things like the line between governmental power and parental rights, or important First Amendment cases, and cases that highlight the tension between federal power and the power of border states. Of course, decisions in cases like these often result in outside efforts to undermine public support for the judiciary from a host of commentators, so-called watchdogs, and even elected officials. But by design, federal judges were given life tenure so that the passions of the public would not influence them. It doesn't mean that judges are immune from criticism. In fact, don't become a judge if you are uncomfortable with criticism. But sometimes these decisions lead to threats and intimidation tactics directed at the presiding judges, or, as we're seeing increasingly, other acts designed to undermine the legitimacy of judges. We will hear from distinguished panelists today who will discuss the difference between legitimate criticism versus efforts to undermine the judiciary, along with the duty of those in the legal profession to defend the judiciary, and more importantly, why it is important that the judiciary be defended. This discussion is critically important when these external efforts to undermine judges sparks internal pressure within the judiciary. Just this year, the Judicial Conference took aim at single judge divisions, targeting especially federal judges in Texas, and in some cases by name, after criticism by so-called commentators and elected political officials. Notably, this proposal by the conference did not target long-standing forum shopping, or as Judge Ho has put it, forum selling in bankruptcy courts or in patent venues, cases that involve billions of dollars. Instead, the proposal focused entirely on remedies the Department of Justice, the world's largest law firm, and a frequent forum shopper complained of, that is, injunctions and vacatures. The reason for this was clear. The Judicial Conference was responding directly to external political criticism. Thankfully, judges and members of our profession pushed back and, in this instance, ensured that heavier to access justice burdens aren't imposed on citizens in our district based solely on where they live. But make no mistake about it, this pressure remains. And it remains a constant source of pressure and will not ease up anytime soon. Indeed, it appears that the Judicial Conference's Rules Committee intends to pursue a rule mandating case assignments by district judges through the Rules Committee, which will make it mandatory. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, during these times when the judiciary, from top to bottom, you see it at the Supreme Court level, you see it at the circuit court level, and you see it at the district court level as well. We are especially fortunate to be part of organizations like the Federalist Society. The Federalist Society's main purpose is to sponsor fair, serious, and open debate about protecting constitutional freedoms and the role of the courts in saying what the law is rather than what they wish it to be. I think you will all agree that this purpose will be fulfilled by our great program today. In our current climate of efforts to undermine the judiciary, and when law schools and law professors across the country increasingly teach students to presume malicious intent on the part of judges with whom they disagree, there is no place more resilient to host a critical conversation about the judiciary than at this conference, before this organization, and in this circuit, and in this division. So thank you all for being here in our great city and for your continued commitment to the judicial system and to the people of the United States, and welcome to Fort Worth, Texas.